Hello, I'm Alex.
And I'm Jess, and we're with Carringtons Estate Agents, an independent agency based in Kingston upon Thames.
And this is Carringtons Property Diaries. This is episode 1 of Carringtons Property Diaries, and today we have a very special property, actually part of our older stock. If you've been following Carringtons at all, we started a new strategy in February, which has been running very, very successfully. But of course, we're now in June, and we have backdated stock and stock that was under offer from our old method of marketing. And we just wanted to give you guys some truthful insights as to how long it takes to sell a property, some of the obstacles and hurdles that you have to overcome in order to do that, and what it's like to go through both the buying and the selling process. So today, Jess, what property are we bringing to attention?
We are discussing a 5-bed detached house that we have for sale on Coombe Lane West, which is up in Coombe, which is a very affluent residential area of Kingston with a high sense of exclusivity. Property prices there tend to range from 900,000 up to sort of the £8 million mark.
Yeah, it's a big range.
So very lovely area. This particular property we're discussing was on the market for 2 years and 9 months.
Wow. Okay, so what was the official listing date? When did it first start on the market?
So it was in August of 2022.
Okay, and it's taken almost 3 years for them to sell.
Almost
okay.
3 years.
So what was their original listing price, Jess? What did they go on the market for?
So they launched, and this is a very poignant part of this particular video, because they've launched their property at £3.4 million. We ended up selling for 1.9.
Wow, okay, so huge difference there. Obviously, being on the market originally at 3.4 million, what are some of the obstacles that we had to overcome when taking this property on?
Yeah, so this property, it was actually listed with 6 agents, including ourselves in total. By the time it came round to listing with us, the challenge that we faced was, of course, this was not a new listing, and therefore we had that digital footprint that we had to manage, didn't we? What we listed for initially was 2.5 million, so it was significantly lower than the original asking price. We had one or two. Yeah, we had one price reduction, that's right. One reduction.
To 2.25.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, we came down to 2.25 and ended up settling at, as you say, the 1.9 million. I think it's highlighting to us, and we'll bring more and more of these studies to the plate and just objective data for people to look at. But one of the things that we've discovered in this sort of short 6-month period is that one of the only ways you can detract from the value of your home is by overexposure. Listing for too long, getting it wrong in the first place. And I think the second point that's really highlighted to me is 2 years and 9 months is far too long, obviously, for everyone involved. But this is it, it's an open-ended, the old traditional style of marketing. If you ask 90% of agents that are coming into your property, when will you have this sold by? They don't have an answer. And I think that's the part that a lot of people miss in this. It's a long time, 2 years and 9 months, but it's emotionally draining, financially draining. We speak to people like this client all the time that have just given up all hope in being able to move. So I think, again, it just highlights, had they not originally listed at the wrong price and got the strategy right to begin with, they would have saved time, money, energy, a lot on this process.
The other thing, Al, that we, even with ourselves, we listed at 2.5. But we were very quick to realise that even within a month of marketing, we weren't generating enough interest, enough viewings to obtain offers on the property. So we acted quite quickly, didn't we? Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's another poignant point. And we say it a lot in a lot of our videos, 4 weeks roughly is the amount of time that you shouldn't need any longer to see what the market is going to offer you. But it's also the more and more sellers that I'm speaking to and agents as well, we know within the first day or two if the property is busy enough. The phones are ringing immediately as soon as a property is put on the market. So oftentimes your agent will know within 24 to 48 hours. You don't even need 4 weeks worth of marketing to showcase you that data. And I think we were very good at communicating that to them, being honest with them, as is our approach. Let's talk now about, once we've got them to an acceptable offer stage and the owners accepted that offer, how long was it under offer before it came through to completion. It was quite a long one, wasn't it, by
It was
standards?
still 74 days, I believe.
Oh no,
wasn't it?
74 days till under offer. I think it was 133 days
Oh, to the
of,
completion.
yeah. So in total, the time was 7 months from marketing to actually getting it exchanged and completed,
Right.
which again, you know, just stepping back is, even if we'd got this right the first time, sold it in a month, adding another 7 months on, you're 8 months down the line before you've seen your money. So two real areas for us to identify. So Jess, can you just talk to me a little bit about what it was that took us so long, why it took as long as it did? Because we had both a buyer and a seller that wanted to transact and complete as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So give us a bit of insight to that.
We had the survey carried out, and that highlighted a problem with the foam insulation in the loft. So this was an obstacle, obviously, that came up during the conveyancing process,
Yep.
which, you know, was problematic. There are many properties that once this has been discovered, to some lenders it becomes unmortgageable. Fortunately for our buyers, and we got very lucky because they were intending to fully renovate the property, this wasn't too much of a hindrance for us. But it's actually highlighted again to us the process where a lot of these things, you know, within conveyancing are a little bit back to front. And so, Al, do you want to explain how we're now helping with surveys a lot earlier in the process?
Yeah, so we've got years of experience in this, right? And I would say 80 to 90% of my experience has been traditional marketing, in which things are back to front. You're agreeing an offer on a property without knowing any of the defects or downfalls to it in most cases. So you're agreeing a figure, both buyer and seller are happy, seller's expectations are at that figure, and then oftentimes what happens is after a few weeks is you get a survey in and it will highlight defects, some being major, some being minor, and each buyer will take their own subjective view on that. But more often than not, if it's highlighting things that they haven't accounted for within their calculations and they haven't made that informed decision before making an offer, it can be a big downfall in a lot of transactions, and probably why we see a lot of the national transactions being as low as they are in terms of through to completion. There are other countries neighbouring to us like Scotland, and we all know this, that they do the system very differently. What we've tried to now proactively do to ensure this isn't an issue for our owners moving forward and as part of our new process is we get a survey up front. We split this cost down the middle 50-50. This is a team effort. We want you to sell as much as you want to sell. We're all on board on this, and we think by taking that upfront cost, both the seller and the agent ourselves, we are being as transparent as we can to all buyers, and we're helping to identify issues which may later creep up in a survey and rectify them before they even get to that stage. We're crossing so many T's, dotting so many I's, just making sure that the process is all set up to give the property as much chance as possible to get through to completion. We're controlling every controllable that we can. And I think this point that you've highlighted here, it's coming up, it's becoming a bit of a trend. Lenders, mortgage lenders, are constantly changing what they will and won't lend on. All lenders differ in terms of what they will and won't lend on. And as Jess highlighted earlier, it's a case most of, if not a majority, 90% of lenders at the moment are not lending on properties with this foam insulation spray, and it's cropped up on a couple of different properties for us now. So if you take anything from this, look out for that. It's something that could be rectified before bringing it to the market. Again, just highlighting and being as prepared as possible when looking to market a property and having the full picture. So that's something that we've done to try and rectify that. But as Jess said, we got incredibly lucky, and I can't stress this enough in my 10 years of doing this. This 80 to 90% of the time results in the fall through of a sale. Completely relooking at the value and the marketing of the property, because you've now taken out a huge pool of otherwise quite affluent buyers in that market range, and then you're looking at just cash buyers. It's really, really important that we do these assessments and we bring them to light to you guys to help learn from them, and we learn from them moving forward to try and get this well-oiled machine to where we want it to be, which is by 2026 we want a 90% completion rate.
It's a time-saving exercise all round. I mean, you know, for the sellers, it gives them the opportunity to rectify these problems, and it's giving clarity and confidence to the buyers, because we're able to share, you know, warts and all the issues with the property, if there are any there. So
yeah, your buyer's always going to find out one way or the other, so it's better to be transparent to the market. And, it's subjective, isn't it? Each buyer views each property differently. It's amazing to one person, not great to another. So just be honest. It's the best way to do it. It's always going to come forward. This was Coombe Lane West, our first Carringtons Diary case study. We will aim to try and bring you at least once a week, if not twice a week. Hopefully you'll all join us for that journey.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks for your time, guys.